Yeah, you read that title correctly. I got the fish tank on the channel. What is up, Finn fans? Got the fish tank on the channel. Seth Levitt, OJ Mcduffie. The vets have reported to camp today. So I thought, what is the best way to kick off training camp than talking with one of, if not the best podcast, Miami Dolphin podcast. You got Seth Levitt. If you don't know about these guys, which I don't understand how you don't know about these guys, great podcast. They talk to former, current, all these Miami Dolphin players. It is a blast listening to them, talk to them. One of my favorites is Olinde Mare. They talk to him. They talk to Brandon Marshall, Ricky Williams. They have a special. They release a special guest that they have talked to in this episode, so be sure to listen to the whole thing. It's a long one, but it's worth it because you got Seth Levitt, 18-year executive director of the JT Foundation, helped establish it in 2004. Been with Jason Taylor as a publicist and off-the-field manager. Not only that, 8 years. He's 8 years with the Miami Dolphins as a media relations from 96 to 03, being part of the 1999 Pete Rozelle award-winning PR Miami Dolphins, right? That's just Seth Levitt. You have OJ Mcduffie. If you don't know who OJ Mcduffie is, first round pick, 25th overall in 1993, played his entire career with the Miami Dolphins. 5th overall all-time Miami Dolphin receiving yards with 5,074. 6th all-time Miami Dolphin receiving touchdowns with 29. 4th overall in receptions with 415 receptions with the Miami Dolphins. I'm talking these guys up. I told them I didn't want to do this to them on the Zoom call because it would probably have been embarrassing or cringy, but I had to get out all these great stats by these two great human beings. So let's jump into this great conversation with the fish tank. If you guys can see, I have the legends here. I got Seth.
At least one legend.
Seth and OJ Mcduffie, the fish tank. Guys, thank you so much for giving me the time. How are you guys doing on this Tuesday?
It's not just any Tuesday, Doug. So we're doing great. It's right. An exciting Tuesday.
Yes,
it's a long-awaited Tuesday. I don't want to speak for Juice, but I could tell you, well, hell, if you saw our video that was tweeted out yesterday, we've been waiting for this for quite some time. There it is. I like it. Yeah, we it's a great day. Not great weather down here, but that's their problem, right, Juice? Not mine.
That's right.
Is it hot? Is it hot down there?
It's just raining right now, but it will be hot. Once it stops raining, then the steam comes, and that's the welcome to training camp moment right there. Because honestly, that's the worst part of training camp down here is the weather at times, for sure.
I could imagine. I just got over this past weekend it being 102 up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Ooh,
that's great. See, that's one thing about it though. We don't get to 100 degrees, but it's going to feel like 110 on our asses. So that's
right.
For sure.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about training camp. Obviously, the guys have reported, and as of right now, of us recording this, Tua has not been videotaped reporting. Does that bother you guys at all? Because apparently that bothers some people.
Wait a second. Is this a real thing? People are bothered by that? What is their concern? Like, what is the word on the Dolphins Twitter streets that people are bothered by?
That he's not there yet. They think he's not there yet.
Well, a good friend of mine, Danny Marino, used to come in through the equipment truck or leave inside the equipment truck. So maybe he's going to come in that way, or maybe he's going to parachute in. You know what I mean? Who knows? I mean, you got to make an entrance. We've seen these guys come in on horses and different things that have happened for people making
I hate that, by the way.
Training camp, entrance, so Tua might, who knows what is his ideal way of coming in,
right?
You know what I mean? So, I mean, he's going to be there though, bro. He's going to be there. So no matter what.
Did you say? Or maybe there.
Knowing Tua being the guy that's studying so much, Big Seth, he came in yesterday, right? And then slept.
I think he spent the night.
Overnight. Yeah, so people wouldn't get this photo ops.
Did you see Aaron Rodgers how he came to
What
camp?
the hell was that?
He looked like
Did you see it, Juice?
Con Air?
Yeah.
Like the movie Con Air?
Yeah. Nicolas Cage.
You got to check it out. He
White
looks
guinea
like
teeth,
he's
everything.
the whole thing.
I like
the whole thing.
Long hair and all.
Yeah, he's a trip. But that's their quarterback. Our quarterback, I don't care if it should, like, if he's not there, that's a problem. And that's news and that's an issue. And there's, unless it was excused, and who knows, right? I mean, it could be a million things. But if people are bothered because the team chose to highlight players other than Tua in their arrival, that just seems like that there's other things that they could be concerned with, in my humble opinion.
But you know what, though, Big Seth, in this sport, got to show the quarterback coming in, no matter who it is. Gotta show the QB. Yes. Every team, I bet. Look at everybody else's. I bet everybody else, their quarterback coming into camp is going to be definitely one of the 8 to 10 players they're going to put up there, no?
I mean, I guess. Yes, that makes sense. But if he's not there, like, who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
Not if he's not there.
Right. Okay.
If he's not there, you care. If he's not there, you care.
I'm wondering, like, now I want to check to see if they.
Yeah, like, I'm doing the same thing. Like, I'm on here. I got my phone up. I'm like, wait a minute.
If they posted a video of him coming in, because like it's such a nothing burger. But let's talk about the team, and then we'll get to Tua. OJ, wide receiver, been wide receiver for the Dolphins your entire career. What is your thoughts on this wide receiving room? To me, it's up there with one of the best we've had. What's your thoughts on it?
It really is, man. We are definitely a talented group of receivers. Of course, Waddle from last year, and then you bring in Cedric Wilson, and of course Tyreek. Big time acquisition, bringing P-Dub back. I think it's just like some, an upgrade, obviously, in the wide receiver room. I hopefully got guys this year that are going to willing to go out there and strap it up.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some talent. We had some talent at wide receiver, but we couldn't get those guys on the field.
Yes.
Most of last year, So I think we got some guys that are, knock on wood, journeymen that'll go out there and they'll strap it up for 17 weeks for us and, give us the best they can do, man. I think that no matter what, Coach McDaniel will get the best out of them as well. So, I mean, pick your poison on how you stop that group of receivers. If we can protect Tua and give them, an extra tick of time, in terms of protection, I mean, it can be really nice, man. And you got to throw Mike Gesicki in as one of those receivers when he's flexed out. Just a lot of really good opportunities for a lot of guys. That's a one-on-ones. And, football might be a team sport, but it's a game of one-on-ones. You win your one-on-one, I win my one-on-one. Big Seth wins his one-on-one. We'll win the game. That's for sure.
Now,
don't count on it over here. You two guys might have to carry me through this.
Yeah, I play defensive end when I play football, so I don't know how quick I am.
You got to win that one-on-one. You beat that tackle, dog.
Seeing Tyreek Hill go to bat for Tua, being an ex-player, a lot of people want to say that the only reason he's saying it is because he's getting paid or because he's a teammate. If your quarterback sucks, are you going to come out and say and lie, or are you just not going to say anything?
No, I'm gonna talk about the good things about my quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Only things really said, he hasn't really said anything crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about accuracy. What I mean? He's talking about things like that, and then if that's how he feels, that's how he feels. But you kind of focus on the things that are right. In terms of your quarterback, because bottom line is other than talking about him, you got to take him to steak dinners. You got to bring him breakfast all the time. You got to do, coffee. How do you like your coffee made, Dan? I got it, bro. You like it black? Okay, that's easy for me then, So you do have to be a teammate. There's nobody goes out there and black. You don't go out there and say our kicker stinks. If you're a wide receiver, you don't go out there and say this coach is terrible if you feel that way. So I don't know what else they want, Tyreek to say in that situation, especially when you want, become best friends with the guy that has the ball in his hand the majority of the time, other than the center.
Exactly. Seth, what's your thoughts on, essentially, because you've been media relations for 8 years with the Miami Dolphins. Like I said, I did research on you guys.
He did the buy. I don't know what else he's going to uncover there, Bruce.
What's your thoughts on that? Like, what's your thoughts on Tyreek and his podcast and kind of the perception of the way the media is with Tua? It's such a one-sided thing. What's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, well, he's a polarizing individual. He was when he was in college. He was pre-draft, and certainly when when we drafted him, and he continues to be. And some of that, I think, is just he's got that it factor. People are interested in him. Cool name, where he's from, what he accomplished, the fact that some things aren't as clear cut. And some of that are things that are even outside of his control and decisions that are made or talked about. And so it just makes Tua a polarizing figure. And that just is what it is. It's something that I think he, in a lot of ways, he's comfortable with. He probably doesn't like the negative talk around.
Yeah.
You know, I think he is a proud guy, but he's used to being the topic of conversation. Tyreek Hill is a figure that is different than one that we've had around here in a long time. You know, I mean, I can't tell you the last time we had somebody that was A, that talented, but B, that was out there and was vocal. And, you know, X is one of the best players in his position in a long, long time. But he doesn't, you know, he's quiet. He doesn't say two words and he just goes to work.
Yeah.
And Tyreek is different. Tyreek is in a lot of ways, you know, he crosses over sport, and, you know, he's got the cool nickname, and he's in a cold tub with Kevin Hart doing interviews on YouTube. And, you know, and so, you know, when you bring somebody like that to the team, you bring all of that. You bring that speed and that talent and that ability to hit home runs and score touchdowns. But you also bring somebody that's going to bring attention outside of the sports pages. You bring somebody that is probably going to have his own vehicle to tell his story. We saw he started a podcast. He's made news with, you know, 3 out of his first 5 episodes. He made, you know, headlines. And that just comes with the territory. But to go back to Juice's point, one, he's hyping up Tua and you know, look, the conversation around Tua has been that there were people in this organization, many of whom probably aren't here any longer, that maybe didn't believe in him as much as the fan base does. And so to have a group of people that have his back, I think we heard Tua talk about it, how much Coach McDaniel has had his back, and he appreciated that. I think he enjoys that Tyreek has embraced him in the way he has. So from that speaks to what Juice was saying as a teammate. I think also speaking of what Juice is saying is that it's all fun and games, but there are a number of different folks that Tua can look to once that ball is snapped.
Yeah.
And he does have Waddle, and he does have Gesicki, and Tyreek Hill is already in his ear saying, I'm here, dog. I'm here, dog. And make sure that, like, I'm your first look, right? And so I think you're seeing some of that. And going back to your question about me being a PR guy, in 1996 through 2003, if we had a player that was doing all this stuff, it would have scared the shit out of us. I think that, you know, I give Ann Nolan and Jason Jenkins and Brett and Vera and that whole crew there in the PR department. First of all, I give them credit because they have to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
But two, they're probably just more accustomed to it because that's the world that our athletes live in now. And so you try to have some parameters, you try to monitor it. Hopefully you have a good working relationship with guys where they understand that everything they say has an impact not only on them, but on everyone. And so, like, hey, we're not telling you not to do this, but can we find some sort of middle ground here? I imagine those kind of conversations are happening. I don't know that for a fact, but it's all just noise, man. None of it matters until you lace them up and you go out there and you play that first game and you evaluate the film from there, right, Juice?
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I mean, that's a perfect way of putting it. You know, and there's going to be, look, they've got guys and former players that in that first team meeting right now, you know, and it's every single year, Seth, you know, everybody that's in the building comes down and you got former players that come in there, you know, some guys that don't know a lot about South Florida and South Beach, and, you know, they need to learn what to do and not to do. You know, Tyreek is the guy, like we talked about, man, that, you know, he's been in the limelight before, you know, but it's a different little limelight down here in South Florida. There's a lot more to get into, man. So I think if he can handle the off the field stuff, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun for him, as well as to show up to work like a lot of guys I play with. I'm sure he's that professional. It's going to be a nice transition down here for him. And I'm going to tell you this too, you know, when I got down here, when you have guys like Marino and Shula and guys that, you know, the Dupers and the Claytons, the superstars on the team, you get more primetime opportunities. Having Tyreek down here might give us more opportunities to get some primetime football, but you got to win on top of that. But you got to have primetime players in order to get primetime looks. So this is the first year. We got a couple games in primetime, but I think that the more that goes on and the more we start to play well and start winning some games, you get more of those opportunities.
Yeah,
Juice, I think it's a great point. I'm sorry, Doug, to cut you off.
Again.
Like, and it's not just prime time. Like, okay, we're going to play at 8:00 on a Sunday.
Right.
It's the national media attention.
Yep.
It's that your guy is on first take. It's that, we talk about all the conversation around Tua. Part of the reason the conversation around Tua is up here is also because Tyreek is here. If Tyreek Hill isn't here, then maybe he's, instead of being this interesting, he's this interesting. And so it does elevate the attention to the entire franchise. And I think it's exciting. And it's great when you're going to win. If you win, it's great.
Please.
And when it's positive, everything Tyreek is saying, why is he doing that? Why is he putting him out there? Why is he comparing him to Patrick Mahomes? Why is he saying he's the most accurate quarterback to ever live? And yeah, maybe that adds a little bit of pressure, but it's just noise. It's just talking. It's noise, and it's positive. It's not divisive in the locker room. He's not saying anything negative. It's not problematic. And boy, you sure as hell wouldn't want it to be problematic before the season even started.
Right.
But you hope that it continues to be positive, and if they win, then it will be. Yeah. And they have a coach that I think is comfortable with it, Juice.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel.
He can definitely handle that personality and everything about it. He's great.
He has his own personality in himself.
Right.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And it's funny, you talk about the star power. The schedule creator even said that the Steelers Sunday night game, that wasn't going to be a Sunday night game until the Dolphins got Tyreek Hill. Then they were like,
there you go.
Okay, that'll be their, the perfect season. We're going to put that Sunday night. So yeah, you hit that nail on the head. Is Tyreek Hill not only brings up the play on field, but also that star power, and all of a sudden in prime time, you get that sun. Because when was the last time we had a Sunday night game? It's been like years since we've had a Sunday night game. Because
I know it wasn't last year, Seth. We worked all.
We had that Thursday night though.
Thursday night for sure.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
That was good.
That's right.
That was good.
Talking about McDaniel, does he get now? Obviously, my thoughts is the defense doesn't really going to get a lot of slack, because a lot of times it takes like a good 4 weeks for you start to gel with a new style and a new playbook. But it's like the defense that's been the same defense for the past 2 years. Does Mike McDaniel get a little bit of slack if the offense is sputtering a little bit within the first 4 weeks? I'll let OJ, you could take that one first.
Yeah, I mean, no, you know what? He's gonna look, our offense is going against one of the best defenses in the country, in the league right now. And we saw it a couple of times in a couple of OTAs and practices. I'm gonna tell you this: Josh Boyer is not. He's not playing around, even in some of the stuff that we're doing here. Because I mean, you saw what we do as a defense. We go zero blitz. We go 11 guys straight across, and some guys might bail out. He's showing our guys that if our guys can go out there in training camp and be successful and have some type of success against our defense and the looks that our defense gives, I'm not worried about too many other defenses in this league. So if we might sputter a little bit, it might be a little bit of a challenge because everything is so brand new. But I'm gonna tell you, man, the install process has been there. They've got the playbook. They've got iPads they can take home with them. They can look at stuff. I'm sure they've got some clips or cut ups from somehow some of that stuff relates to like the San Francisco 49ers and concepts and things. So there's no excuse for anybody offensively not to know what they're doing, but for it to all come together from every position, that's going to be critical, and it's going to take some time. And it starts with number one. We've been talking about it the whole time. If once Tua knows everything, then everybody else can start to fall in line. And if he sees a misalignment, if he sees a guy that's on the wrong side, if he sees certain things, get that corrected. So I know Danny always like, no, Juice, shoot. Well, maybe not me, because I was always lined up right. So, but some other guy, I was using me as an example. Alignment, assignment, and execution. You know what I mean? So that's what's key, though. I think that no matter what, as smart as Coach McDaniel is, a lot of concepts are all the same, different personnel groupings, but I think it's all going to relate to each other. So we should be a smart offense for sure. And then all we have to do now is go out and line up and execute.
Yeah, and I mean, from a football perspective, Juice just nailed all of it. I think you're asking, does he get a pass for 4 weeks? Expectations are high right now. And it depends on who would be giving that pass. Are we talking about from the media? Are we talking about, from fans? Are we talking about from the people who signed coach's paycheck? So there's 3 different entities there. He comes in here with the label of, a lot of people say offensive genius, was with a program that was very successful with offensive football. And there's a lot of weapons on this offense. So yes, expectations are high, but I think that, Juice, you just said there are no excuses for people blowing assignments or what have you, but you have to assume it's going to take a little bit of time for things to really get clicking. Like some of these teams that have played.
Yeah, that'll be training camp, though. I'm saying that's more training camp stuff.
So come week one, you better have your stuff together.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty
by the time we kick off against New England, we should be in good shape.
So yeah, I just, does he get a hall pass? Does he get 4 weeks for? Look, this fan base. If the offense comes out here and it's sputtering, people are going to have concerns because again, there's an expectation that there are offensive weapons. This is supposed to be the year that this happens and that happens. We have this coach. We need to put points on the board. I just like to look at the wins and the losses. If we can get, in those 4 weeks, if we can have at least as many, if not more wins than losses, then things are heading in the right direction, in my opinion.
Exactly. Because like week 1 last year, we won by 1 point, and people wanted to blow them out. Hey, you get that, you start 1-0, it's fantastic. Just
in the division, it's like 2-0.
Exactly.
Right. It really is. Exactly. It really is, man. It's important.
To me, the biggest problem with the Dolphins, we had back-to-back winning seasons, but the offensive line was so bad the past couple of years. Do you guys see, with the addition of Teron Armstead and Connor Williams, as the offensive line is going to get better, and hopefully we get a run game with Mike McDaniel, who's very good at establishing a run game? Do you see the offensive line taking that next step now that we actually have offensive line coaches?
I definitely feel that way. And that's what I've been saying more than anything. I think the biggest thing that they could have done for Tua is obviously getting a guy like Teron Armstead, getting Connor Williams, but also bringing in all the staff that have so much O-line experience with a guy in Mike McDaniel that knows offensive game planning when it comes to the run game, probably better than anybody.
Yeah.
I always say this, there's no way that the guys we drafted were as bad as they looked. I think it comes down to how do we coach them up. And I think that even the scheme itself will benefit guys on our team that are more athletic, get out in space and make plays, can reach blocks instead of having to sit there and power themselves against strong guys. A lot of times stronger guys on defensive linemen are usually the strongest dudes, especially the interior guys. And so you sit there and have to play muscle games with those guys. Why not play with quickness and leverage and, and angles? And I think that's how it's going to affect these guys better than anything. So Mike McDaniel's done a great job, for one, keeping the defense intact when he got here.
Yeah.
For two, bringing in a whole bunch of guys on the offensive side of the ball as coaching staff that have so much O-line experience that, if these coaches can't get this O-line to work right, then we've made some bad decisions, but I think they'll get them going. I really do. I mean, we saw some athleticism in all of them.
Yeah.
So if they're athletes and they're at that size, man, and they can move and make plays, I think we'll get the best out of them from this staff.
Seth, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, what he said. Look, we have talked about this a lot in our Twitter spaces and everywhere else we've been. It's so much attention is placed upon the quarterback and the receivers, but it really will be interesting to see what happens with that running game. The offensive line has not, for not just the last 2 years, for as long as we can all remember, it has not performed at a level that we all would hope that it would be, and a level that this team really needed for it to perform at to be successful. I have been saying that I believe that some of these young guys that some folks have maybe given up on, some of these young guys are going to step up and become some really good football players. And everyone's going to be like, well, where the hell did he come from? Or he's finally living up to that potential. And it is going to be a combination of, one, just maturing in this league. And that is a position where you see guys that are on a practice squad that become all pros 7-8 years into it. It's just one of those positions that it's such a nuanced position. So I think some of it'll be that. I think, we have had some guys that have dealt with some interesting health situations, but this is this is an offensive line friendly offense. Yeah. OJ just nailed it. I've heard any expert in X's and O's talk about that. And just look at the history of any Shanahan coach team, regardless of what the first name of that Shanahan is. and offensive linemen and running backs have thrived. Guys you never even heard of, fell out of the sky and became all pro running backs in a Shanahan coach team. And we hope. That's not to say that all that Mike McDaniel is going to do is be, some clone of what happens with Shanahan. But I think that there are some systems and concepts that he's adapted or even contributed to that he's going to bring here. And I think we're going to see development of some of these young players. And hopefully the development of those young guys combined with bringing in that veteran expertise will yield the results that you're looking for, Doug.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% because Austin Jackson is one of those guys that, everyone wants to already label him as a bust. And he has the physical traits that are perfect for the zone run scheme. He's that physical, big, fast guy. So we saw the same thing with Robert Hunt. Like, come on, the man ran into
Austin Jackson's 22 years old, by the way.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
let's not lose sight of that.
In his third year.
He's young.
He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
So I honestly think bringing in Applebaum, bringing in the offensive coordinator we essentially have 2 offensive line coaches. And like you guys said, I honestly think that Austin Jackson's going to do fantastic at right tackle. A lot of people are weary about it, but like I said, he has that physical trait that you can't teach. Like, that's the one thing I talk about when I talk about some of these prospects during draft time is, there's certain things that, okay, he can work on vision, he can work on, technique. But when you have those physical traits that can't be taught, it's like you just build around that. And that, to me, that's what Austin Jackson has. And I think
he also has got some nasty in him. Juice and I noticed that this last year. We saw some plays. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know he had that, because he's such a,
right.
He's such a bright young man, and he's kind of calm and cool and collected when you hear him in interviews. But man, we saw some things this past year on film. I was like, oh, he's got a little dog in him too now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I expect for those guys, to those young guys, I expect the game to slow down a lot for them, man. And that's the key. If it slows down, that's what everybody, when they realize, how good they can be, it's when the game starts to slow down. And for me, when I could see things at the beginning, it was like a frenetic pace. Everything was like all over the place. But then when you go in there and you're prepared, and we had Richmond on. Remember, we had Richmond on our Spaces the other night, and and Richmond was talking about how the blocking and everything was for them back in the day. It all boils down to, because look, you can line up and call one play, and there could be 8 different looks for an offensive lineman. If an offensive lineman is confused a little bit, it's going to be a problem. For me, all I care about is secondary guys. But the offensive linemen get all these different looks. That's how, when they can recognize stuff like that and be able to make the adjustments like right away, that's how they're going to become better players, because they can see it. And you've seen it before. You see it in your head. You see it on film, and that's when the game slows down. So, you expect it. I expect this TE game to come my way. I expect this ET game to go there. I expect this because we've seen it, and all my tails are there, and it slows down. And sure enough, you stay where you're supposed to be, and here comes the tackle after the end goes inside. So it's like, I think that's going to be the critical part for these guys when this game gets to the point where it slows down for them, and they can just recognize tendencies, and they can also see it happen, in real time.
Last thing I'm going to ask you guys. Now, I'm not going to ask for a record prediction, but kind of like, what's your expectation for this upcoming season?
Man.
The amount of talent we add in stuff. Again, you don't got to say like, oh, we're going to go like 12 and whatever, but just kind of like, what's expectation for you guys? We'll start with Seth, like kind of real quick expectation.
Oh, even worse. You start with me. I really don't, I really don't do this, Doug. I
hate doing it too.
Don't make predictions. But I do expect this offense to take some steps forward, and it may not happen in week 1, but I do think that based on all of the things that we just discussed in this entire interview here, that this offense will look like a more proficient offense and hopefully put more points on the board at a more rapid pace than what we've seen in the past. I do expect them to take that step forward this way. The defense, I'm really curious to see what happens. I think everybody, it's so easy to say, well, we got the whole defense back. The defense is going to be great and it doesn't always work that way. There's a lot of things that happen. Some guys get a year older, and a year seems like 5 years, and you never know when that's going to happen and who it's going to happen to. And I hope it doesn't happen to any of our guys. Some guys, maybe whatever changes there may or may not be to a system, it was a better fit for them before. Maybe they take a step forward because some of the young guys that they brought on are even better than what we had hoped for. So I'm really curious to see if the defense can maintain that level of excellence that we saw towards the end of last season. I expect them to be a competitive team as we've seen the last few years. I am hopeful that they're able to take the next step and become a playoff team. And that's just a shitty, boring answer, but it's the best I can do.
Yeah, I'll spice it up for us, Big Seth. Yeah,
thank you.
We will get to 11 wins this year.
Nice.
Wow, you're making straight up predictions here.
Yeah, we'll get to at least 11 wins this year.
Oh, my God.
And the reason being is, all right, look, the last couple of years we've been one game out of making the playoffs, right? I want to ask you both, did we get one victory better this offseason?
Yes.
Seth?
I hope so.
No, there we go. There we go. That's my
I just don't. I can't. My training.
What else?
I'm right there.
I got Harvey Green in the back of my head. I don't deal in hypotheticals. I don't.
Hey, you don't have to go out there and make any plays, though, Big Seth. You don't have to make any play. We can make any prediction we want.
Yeah, but I can't. I'm not comfortable in that. It's not. I can't do it. And you made plays, and you're ready to do it.
I'm right there with you. I do collabs, and they're like, okay, Doug, we're gonna do this big, year preview collab, and look at the schedule and give us a game by game prediction. I can't do that. I can't. Injuries happen, things happen. I'm like, I can't.
Things do, and that does happen. But I'm gonna tell you what.
Hold on, let me tell you why we have the best producer / DJ in the business. Because DJ Priest just showed up with a fresh Mountain Dew on ice.
Oh man, look at that! Do the do.
Wish you were here, Juice.
Yeah.
Do the do.
Do the do. Yeah, we got a guy that works for that company right now. We'll get some more of that do.
Yeah.
So. I mean, I feel like I said, man, what they've done another great job of doing is building depth. I think we have
100%
the best depth that we've had. So, usually frontline guys go down. You always are frontline guys for a reason, but you hope that drop off isn't terrible, or hope it's really close. And I think you talk about that defense, that defense is still relatively young, man. It's relatively young. Our corners are getting.
It's got a nice mix. It's got a nice mix of youth and veterans.
These are 2 and 3 year guys. Our defensive end, and they're unbelievable. Nick Needham inside he's going to be even better, man. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's doing there, and Christian and those guys on the front line, and but we got some relatively young guys. Baker's
my man Jalen Phillips. You didn't even mention Jalen Phillips.
Not yet. I'm just saying we got.
Oh, you're getting there. My bad.
Come on, man. I'm running down.
I got the Mountain Dew. I'm all
jacked up on that dew already. Damn, that works fast right there. But I like I said, the defense should be just fine. Same concept. Some young guys that can mix in and out there. I heard that Igmanogany's been doing really well, which is a great sign for us. Things like that are important, man. So, and then young offensive line with a couple veterans on there. We've got a good mix and we got some depth. Depth is always key because we've seen it when guys go down. We lack the guys behind them to pick up that slack. And the NFL is they'll take advantage of any weakness. You're only as good as your weakest link, and that happens all the time. More than anything in the NFL for sure.
So here you go, Doug. You just had OJ Mcduffie on, and he came out with a bold take, which I'm all against bold takes. He said 11 wins minimum. The threshold, the basement is 11 wins.
11 dubs. 6-2 in the division, 11
Travis
dubs.
would be proud of you right now. I'm ready to run it high.
Right. Hey, but I don't have to play any. I don't have to go out there and play those. So
you have to back it up.
I can say whatever the hell I want, man.
Well, guys, thank you so much for giving me the time. Obviously, the Fish Tank, shout it out. What do you guys got going on? Where can they find you?
Big Seth?
Well, they can find us at the Fish Tank 81 on any, not any social platform, because I guess we're not on TikTok and what have you, but certainly on Twitter. That's where we make our money, is on Twitter and on Instagram at the Fish Tank 81. I think there's a Facebook page too, but Preach, we'll have to check in with him on that. I hope that your followers are also following us and listening to the podcast. We definitely have a YouTube presence, but the heart and soul of what we do is those long form podcasts, some great storytelling by our guests. We have a great time with these guys. And so anywhere, Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you're streaming your podcast, you can go to dolphins.com and you can check it out. And then if you are a South Florida resident, For some crazy reason, Jason Jenkins decided to put us on television as well. So we're on WFOR CBS 4 on Saturday nights at 7:30. They'll have some portion of our podcast there as well. We've got some great guests coming up. I don't know. Do we tease it? When is this?
You have
going
to. You have to.
This is coming out like in an hour.
Okay. So you heard it here first on the DouglieDoWrong show. We haven't told anybody this. This guy hasn't done an interview in 5 or 6 years, and fans have been asking for him. But Tim Bowens, number 95, is kicking off this season. He's diving into the fish tank.
I can't wait.
We're going to drop this on Tuesday the 2nd. I think that's August 2nd, if my calendar is correct. And Timbo was spectacular. He didn't just show up and say, okay, Tim's here, and go, nah, it wasn't like that.
It was so good.
It was funny. He was serious. He was in depth, told some great stories. He cracked some jokes. So we cannot wait to publish that one and get the reaction. Timbo was just so generous with his time. And I think people are going to see a side of the big man they don't know existed.
Exactly right. Hell, I didn't know it existed.
You play with the guy.
Tim's always quiet, man, but he's always been my dude, man. It's a guy I hit behind a lot. I hit behind him a lot in the locker room when I started talking
definitely a guy
trash.
you want on your side. I can tell you that much.
1000%.
Doug, tell us, where does DouglieDoWrong come from? How did you come up with that great name?
So my friend, we were hanging out. My friend wanted to call me Ugly, and my name's Doug, so he called me Douglie, and I thought that was hilarious. And then I know about the cartoon Dudley Do Right. And being that like Douglie kind of sounds evilish, I was like, let me flip that. And DouglieDoWrong came out, and it just stuck. And now it's my brand, the DDW. You can kind of see it above my head.
The DDW. Yeah, I like that.
It works.
Very cool.
But
guys, you're doing great stuff, man. We appreciate the support. I couldn't believe it, Juice. The first time I saw Doug tweeted something out, and he did a breakdown. It was like, the what is that? What do you guys do? What does Travis do all the time? The all 20, where you guys
all 22,
all 22. And it shows you how much I know about this sport. God, why did they give me a microphone? Doing the all 22, and he's breaking down our interview with Tua or something. I was like, DouglieDoWrong is breaking down. I watched him do a recap show of our show, and I was like, oh, I could get down with this guy right here.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate the love, man. And you're doing great work.
I appreciate that, guys. Link will be in description. Go check them out. Thank you guys again so much.
Thank you,
Finza!